Kiddos, I think we're live now. Hello, 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 everybody. Hello, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us. If you're joining us live, and thank you so much for joining me for now. If you're joining us live, and thank you as well for watching the replay. If you're watching the replay, so my name is Kiki, and I am here to talk about I have a special guest. I'm here to talk about something very, very interesting, which is, back to school. We're in the back to school season. I know some people are back to school already, depending on the region they're in, um, or the country they're in. But here in the UK, and I think in some African countries and some other places, it's back to school this week or next week. Also, even for those that are back to school already, everybody's trying to settle in. So I'm 100% certain that this conversation that I'm going to be having with someone very, very dear to me will be helpful and will, make sense to everyone, and you'll be able to get one or two tips from it. So tonight we're going to be talking about, conversations to watch out for, things to watch out for, things to talk about, and things to prepare for in the new academic year. And it's just really not in the new academic year, but, generally with our children. And one of the reasons why I decided to have this conversation is, or a few of the reasons are, one, throughout the month of August, obviously we're on holidays. I was sending newsletters and encouraging parents to have certain conversations with their sons. So we talked about drug, we talked about sex and dating, we talked about peer pressure, we talked about respect and discipline, and some few other topics that I feel we shouldn't let go. I believe in sitting down or creating time to talk about something, to deal with something, talk about it and not just assume that it's okay or the other person can hear you, right? So, and that was what we did throughout the month of August. Now, as we prepare for the month of September, it dawned on me that, a lot of us are going back to school. And just like most of us parents, I myself inclusive, I've been thinking about, okay, shopping list, what they need for school. I've got one in school, the other is not in school. I mean, it's out of school already. So I was thinking, okay, shopping list, what my son would need for school. Hello, sis. Thank you so much for joining me. Dina, thank you so much for joining me. And so I was thinking about what my son would need for school, his allowance and fees and all of those things. Also, I have my prayer journal where I started writing things. I'm interceding, I'm praying for them, for him, as he goes back to school. And as I was writing all of those things and thinking about those things, it just dawned on me that I asked myself a question beyond, excuse me, wow. So beyond school, and I mean, beyond academics, beyond fees, beyond pocket money, beyond shopping, beyond prayers, what are other things that, I have done in the past years or we have done in, past years as our children went from, stage to stage in their academics. And just then I remembered a story for my first son, I think when he was going into year 12, and we went on holiday in US. And I just remember that a week to us coming back home, it was very quiet. And I think we spent about 2 or 3 weeks in US, and I felt, this boy is quiet. He doesn't want to go back home. Holiday is suiting him, you know. But one day I just called him and said, let's talk about this thing. What's happening? And he told me, he said, Mom, I can't remember how he said it, but anyway, I got that. he was anxious to go back to school. He's going back into a new, academic level, I think new school, and everything will be new to him. So he was anxious. And then I kind of felt, okay, let's have conversations. Now, I put my hand up. I can't remember if we've been having those kind of conversations with them before that period or before that happened. But you know what? That opened my eyes to the fact that even if we've been having those conversations, yes, I think we've been, because now that I'm talking, I remember there was a time we went shopping for their school supplies, three of us. Now I can see the picture. We were taking pictures at the train station. Three of us went shopping for their school supplies when they were still in middle secondary school. And I think while we're shopping, a girl was looking at them one way, and I was using my side eye to capture all the stories, And then after that, when we got back in the car, I made sure we talked about everything I captured with my side eye jokingly, and then we chatted about it. And with that, I chipped in, some things. But after that episode in US, I felt these conversations are not conversations to be chipped in. They're conversations to be intentionally about, to sit down and talk about, right? And so we started doing that. Now, fast forward to when my second son was going into uni, there was another episode of, going back to school, leaving home, and all of that. And all of this reminded me, all of this all of these things, that reflections kind of made me conclude that we need to begin, as parents, we need to think beyond the classroom. We need to think beyond the shopping, the academic performance. And in Josh's Army or in Bukola Jolubu Consulting, one of the things I focus on, I love academic performance, but one of my mottos to the children is, your academics will get you through the door, but you need a lot more than the grades and the academics to keep you in there. And so today we're going to be talking about all of those other things that we could think about as parents for our children. And I'm going to be having, as you know it, my son, one of my favorite persons, Fokwe Folua, who will be joining us. So Fokwe, come, join us. But before you join us, can you turn on the light on that ring? I forgot to turn that on. Just press on. Thank you. Yes, it's better now, I think. Well, but come on, join me. Yeah, this is my boo. Feel like you are sitting with mom now. Love on me. Thank you so much for thank you for joining us. So we're going to be, like I said, we're going to be talking about what to watch out for, what to talk about, and what to prepare for school. And this is a very casual conversation. So guys, if you have questions or comments, please feel free to drop them. Share your comments, share your questions and your thoughts with us as we have this conversation. So, Fokwe, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us about you.
So hi, my name is Fokwe. I'm the son of our wonderful host. I'm 20, turning 21 in a month and a bit actually. And I'm at university studying that.
It's not a month and a bit, it's actually a month from today.
Oh yeah, right. A month from today, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I like basketball as well, and I'm quite into sciences.
Awesome. Thank you so much for questions. So, okay, guys. So what we're talking about today, like I said, is what the things to watch out for, the things to talk about, and then the things to prepare for. So now we're going to be learning from you, because obviously you've walked the path. You're at a certain stage of your academics right now, right? And I'm sure you've had those experiences with us.
Somewhat.
Okay, watch my back. Okay, so now tell us, going into the new academic year, as parents, what are the things you think are key for us to watch out for? Now, before we go to talk about things that you think are key for us to watch out for in our children.
So I feel like summer is something that we always look forward to. Like it's always like the end of the academic year, but the thing that comes with summer is also the beginning of a new academic year. And then with that, it's quite nerve-wracking for a lot of us because the new academic year often means new challenges or new experiences, or just maybe just stepping outside of your comfort zone. Whether it's getting a new form tutor, like I remember back in school, different year groups would have a new form tutor, you have a new band, you have a new form group, or whether it's getting placed into new sets after summer exams, because they do change sets and grades a bit over the summer as well. It depends on the years, to be honest. I feel like each year differs, which like the higher, like for instance, like year 11, year 12, it'd be more serious compared to like year 9, year 8. But regardless, I feel like the behavioral things to look out for are quite consistent, regardless of what year you're going into, because it's still, from what I remember, also from what I remember at least, it's still that similar type of nerve-wracking experience of, oh yeah, no, I'm going into this new year now. Um, I need to get back into my routine. I need to start thinking about what to do, like how I'm going to prepare for this year. I need to start thinking about um the challenges I'm going to set for myself. I remember back when I used to go to school, we used to talk about these vision boards as well, and having these clear set goals. And so yeah, back to your question. Sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent, but back to your question about the things that you need to, well, the things that I'd say that I found in myself around these periods, where I was just quite nervous, like, and be quite antsy, because of the fear of unknown. Like, you're going into a whole new year. There's so many questions. It's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking. It's like starting a new job. Naturally, no matter where you are, you're going to have them feelings. So I feel like you said about Fentanyl when we got back from holiday, how he was being quite isolated. Like, so yeah, it's just them behavioral cues. So like isolation, quietness. Like in families, we all live together, so we kind of know what we're like, our behaviors, our tendencies. So just being able to spot that there's
sudden changes.
Yeah, like for instance, I remember me, like towards when I was starting university, I'm quite a bubbly, outgoing person, but towards when I was starting university, I found that I was more nervous into myself. I'm quite more isolated because I was just getting lost in my own thoughts, whether it's like what ifs or worries or regardless. And yeah, I guess it's just knowing that, yes, and of course, as parents, your support with like getting books and then having the talks and then saying revise, make sure, yes, that's all of that is paramount. But the behavioral and the emotional and the mental cognitions that go on between, like, say, the process of, say, going from year 10 to year 11, I feel like this conversation that needs to be had, even if it's just, oh, how are you feeling? Like, how did you find last year? Just you go.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I love the way you're very open about, nerve-wracking, periods where you're like fear of the unknown, and then there's fear of the unknown. There is, what did you call it again? The goals, how you're going to meet the goals. Talks about vision and setting the goals and how you're going to meet the goals. And then you also talked about I think the fear of the unknown is part of the anxiety. Then behaviors to watch out for. You mentioned isolation. Then the child suddenly becomes very quiet.
Yes.
I think for you, one of the things that I noticed is that you love your food, but at those moments you don't want to eat anything.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. When I'm nervous, I don't have an appetite.
You don't want to eat anything.
Yeah.
And then another thing that both of them, I noticed in both of them, is they spend longer at meet time in the bathroom. I don't know if you noticed that but you just be in the bathroom and you're wondering where are these people. That could be isolation as well, and that could be anxiety, diarrhea, or something. But yeah, when I'm anxious, when something is bothering me, that's what happens to me. But they spend longer times in the bathroom, be it in the shower or something, and then and we've talked about food. I've talked about anxiety. Now, yeah. So, and then isolation. Now, so for parents, when we notice those things, what should be our reaction? Or should we wait till we notice those things? I don't know how to answer this question. So now we've talked about things to watch out for, right? Now let's talk about things to talk about. Because it's better for us to deal with them before we see them happen, right? So what would you say has been helpful to you all these years, and what would you say parents can do, whether it's what we've done or what we've not done? We're all here to learn, right? To help this transitioning for children.
First of all, I think the biggest thing to note is the fact that you're like the fact that you're taking it upon yourself to think what can you do to help that transition is again is very commendable, because it's but at the same time I feel as though you might not always get the reaction you want. So for instance, I remember it wasn't until I came to you talking about, oh yeah, mum, this is really overwhelming me, that we fully got into the conversation and got into the nitty-gritty about what was going on in my head. But that might be the case for some people. Some people might not be, some kids might not be able to come to you, or you might not need to address the situation firsthand. Or that might not also be able, that might not be the way to go, because certain times asking a question firsthand can often make you shy away from it, because it might not be something you realized. So, or it might not be something you were aware of until the question was asked, and that question that asked you has now made you aware of it, and that's even made you even more nervous. You get this. There's a lot of conditions that are come to play. So, I feel as though being patient is the biggest one. Say if you notice these behavioral differences and you approach your child and they're not responsive, or they're not necessarily answering your questions, or you still want to know what's wrong. I feel as though that conversation alone will do so much good, in a sense of take a step back and try again, like at a different time. Because often, if you push, then you're pushing them further, in a sense where you don't know, that one question could have been, oh, they'll come to you in the next 10 minutes. Actually, mum, actually, dad, this is what's on my mind. So I feel like the biggest thing is making them aware that you're aware, in a sense of making them know that you see, like, oh, you're also on my mind, or I've noticed this and that. You get what I'm saying? Just make them feel seen, and then offer that. It can just open up the doors for a lot more sensitive conversations. Like, I definitely feel like, especially when you open up a conversation with "Are you okay?" It's such a sentimental phrase, in a sense where already it's kind of intimate. So you're already talking about your feelings, and offer that kind of makes you more comfortable to then dive further. Like, actually, no, I'm not okay. But yeah, just I've definitely seen the biggest one in patience. Honestly, I feel like I'm repeating myself oftentimes when I have these lives, because I always, like, even on the different topics we talk about, I always say patience, patience, patience. But honestly, it's one of the most important things.
So, okay, now maybe we'll go to that direction a bit, because yes, you always say patience. Is there a reason? Is maybe from your life or from your friends? You don't need to be specific, but why is patience one of the key things you always say whenever you and I are having this chat?
As children, or as teenagers, or as young adults, we are growing, so automatically we have to be patient, because we're waiting for life to catch up with us, or but in a sense of, I feel like that patience allows us to feel a lot more flexibility and a lot more control in a situation that we have no control over.
Is it when we are patient with you?
Yeah. So, for instance, education, school, you have all these worries. There's nothing you can do about it. At the end of the day, you're still gonna have to be there September. You're gonna have to sit down and sit them exams when the time comes, unless you're saying that you're gonna drop out of school. But that's, God forbid, that's not the case. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, that patience kind of permits us, well, at least it permitted me to feel as though I was allowed to feel the way I felt, in a sense of, no matter if I may think that my feelings aren't valid, or if I may try. You get what I'm trying to say? That patience just basically made me see, okay, cool. She understands that there's stuff on my mind. She understands that I'm going through stuff, no matter how minor, quote unquote, it may be. And it just showed me that you're able to, give me that vulnerability I needed for that conversation, or needed for that situation. Yeah, I definitely feel like patience is the biggest one.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I like that. That's big. Well, this is the first time I'm asking for this question, because I know that in most of our conversations, you would always say, be patient with the children, be patient with your children. And hearing it from you now, it's kind of made me see, because I know that a lot of the times, for instance, was it this morning or earlier on today when I was working in the study, or was it yesterday that you just walked up to me to say, Mom, this is what is on my mind about my career path, and we had that conversation. And I must put my hand up there that I'm sure if you know me very closely, you know that probably patience is probably not one of my strong points. But I had to learn it along the line, particularly for those of us raising boys. One thing with boys and men is they love to be respected. They love to be listened to. They love to be respected, irrespective of the age. And so I think I feel at some point I felt that when I'm not patient and be easy with them, it kind of makes them feel they're not being respected and you're not interested in them. And so they cower away, which is not what we want. So I say to parents, when you say your child is a child that is normally not quiet, becomes a teenager and suddenly becomes a quiet child, there may be more to it than the child just being quiet. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, definitely, 100%. There's so much that goes on in the transition of, like, say, being a child to a teenager, or going from 15 to 18. It's still within the teenage years, but that period is such a big period, in the sense where it changes so much in the future. For instance, your behaviors, like how you handle situations, just, yeah. So definitely, you're definitely correct in saying that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, now back to our original conversation. Now, we talked about patience is key, irrespective of the conversations you want to have with them. Now, I'm going to try and list a few things to talk about, and correct me if I'm wrong, or feel free to add to whatever it is I have said, right? Or I am saying. So, a few things you want to talk about with them when they're preparing as they prepare for the new academic year, in addition to all of the academic performance and the prayers that we do. We want to talk to them about how they're feeling. Now, a lot of us, Papa said something, irrespective of how minor that feeling might be to us, it is important to them. So we want to talk about how they're feeling. We want to listen to them and validate it, even when it doesn't make sense. Yesterday my husband was making fun of me. I don't know what I was doing, and he said, it matters to you, so it matters to me. And I just looked at him and smiled, and I was like, oh, okay. But that's our phrase, that's our slogan in the house. If it matters to one, it has to matter to the others, irrespective of whether it's a silly thing or minor thing. It matters to this person, it has to matter to every other person that is concerned at that time or around at that time. So talk about their feelings and listen to them. Also, when you talk about when you talk about their feelings and you're listening to them, it's not the time to dismiss the feeling. I said validate the feelings, even if it doesn't make sense to you. Another thing to talk about is, the previous academic year. Just go back and reflect on it, on how they feel about it, things they need you as a parent to do differently, right? Because we are all learning. We are all learning. I said to them, you guys didn't come with manual. And I'm sure I didn't come with manual to my parents as well. We all did not come with any form of manual. So we're all learning on the job. So it's very valid to ask them how, how they're feeling going back to school, how they ask them to reflect on the previous academic year and what we all should learn from it as a family. Also, ask them about their friends. There's something that used to make me very anxious, but even as an adult, when I'm going back to work after holiday. I forgot mentioned it, and it just dawned on me that we all feel that tingling thing inside of us. Exactly. When you're going back to work after holidays, and then I'm thinking about my colleagues. Okay, what was the last thing we did? How? And then you're wondering, okay, how do I go into this meeting? Do I have any meeting? I'm so grateful to God for the places I've.
I was going to add something after what you were saying.
Okay, I'm so grateful to God about the places I've worked that, when you go on holiday, particularly if it's more than 2 weeks or over a week, they give you 1 day or maybe 1 day and a half to catch up on things. Nobody's expecting you to deliver anything. So imagine for us as adults, when we feel that way, imagine what they are going through. Children that are still learning that, are not as mature as we are, How do you handle that? How do you feel? Help them think about, talk about their friends. How do you feel seeing, how would you feel seeing Josh again? I remember then we used to talk about Josh a lot because Josh is the best friend or was the best friend. We used to talk about Josh a lot when they're going back to school, and then for his older brother, I think it was Jamal. How would you feel seeing Jamal again? What was the last memory you had? So that they can remember and that can ease, the anxiety inside of them. You were going to add something for
Yeah, I was gonna say off of your point as well, about just the anxiety and the nerve wracking about going back to school. I feel like another thing parents should bear in mind as well is that as teenagers and in school, we have such, well, obviously I think it's quite silly now, but at the time it wasn't. Like we have our friends and then we have such mundane issues. For instance, like just these small petty arguments or just different disagreements where it might seem so minor now, like we laugh about it, but in the time that honestly feel like the biggest thing in my life. Like as in I can't go on any longer. No, obviously not go on any longer.
Yeah, I get what you mean,
So
but
yeah,
like
so
this
that's what I'm
is a
saying.
major blocker for me,
So it's
right?
like so as parents, even if that might not seem as drastic to you, it's you need to realize to him or to her in that point in the situation, this is one of the most important things in my life. Like, and when I remember, like for instance, back in Sandy, when I used to want to go out, we'll go to these like we'll go to just go wanted to go out and then
Friends hang out and parties
yeah,
and all of that.
like although now looking back at it now, it wasn't that serious, but at the time for me, it was important to me. It was important to me, and I feel like as parents, you just need to realize that there's things that your child goes through in school. Like you need to realize we're there in school from 9 to 5. Majority of our days are spent in school with our friends in them situations, in them experiences. Like we are absorbing everything. We're literally learning in these situations. And a bit essentially, my point is that just just be flexible in the mindset of knowing that just have bear all of these things in mind when you're having these conversations. Don't dismiss their problems. Don't dismiss their insecurities or their worries or the things that they're anxious about, no matter how minor they may be. Because I feel that's another thing as well that will also instill that confidence in you as a parent as well. If just making your child feel comfortable, I feel like comfortability is so important because of that comfortability, your child can then take the initiative to go off and then come to you about stuff or then access conversations you thought you wouldn't even be able to start talking about yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I feel like, yeah, patience and comfortability.
Okay, for has added another one, comfortability. Make them comfortable when they are talking to you. Don't dismiss. I remember, oh gosh, as they're talking about this Sandy. So by the way, Sandy is the town where the secondary school, the secondary school they went to is. So I remember he will want to go out with his friends. We lived in Biggleswade, the school is in Sandy. So majority of your friends were actually in Sandy. So traveling from Sandy to Biggleswade to meet his friends, a lot of them will be like, hey, Fopo wants to go out again. But he wants to, like he said earlier on, he's a bubbly one. And it took us time to understand it. I think both of us, at some point, three of us, myself, Fopo, and the dad, plus older brother who is his advocate. I think you were the one that called for the meeting. Yeah.
I did a whole PowerPoint presentation.
Oh yes, I remember that PowerPoint presentation. He did a PowerPoint presentation to talk to us about how these outings, what they mean to him, and how he has planned his time and asked us to approve. So like when you're doing presentation at work and you're asking for sign off. I think that's what I would call it. It was so funny. It's so funny now, but then I remember that my husband just kept looking at me that what's all of this presentation about? And then even if his brother was there to kind of make us see that, Mom, this is because my oldest son is very home permits me to use the word homely. Not
Homebody.
Homebody, yeah. So he likes, like his father, he likes the comfort of the inside of his house. Unlike me, both of us are the ones that are very similar in terms of going out and all of that. So, but he had to come and say, Mom, the fact that I'm like this doesn't mean my younger brother is like this or will be like this, and these are the things you can do, and this the way you people are making him feel like, oh, why do you always want to go out, all of those things. We kind of make him lose himself. And I think Fope mentioned being comfortable, comfortability earlier on. I am grateful to God that we kind of made them feel comfortable to have any conversations with us. Sometimes it may blow out of proportion, some will come back again, we will convey, and that was why Big Brother could have those conversations with us, that we can now all reason together and come to like a middle point, understand the boundaries and what and not, what is a no and what is a yes. So that is very, very important. For person, patience and being comfortable, making them comfortable around you. And I would also add to that maybe making them comfortable around you also interprets to making them know that you are their safe places. I am my children's safe place. That's my goal. I don't want my child. They would have friends. They have their godmother, who, particularly my older son, is very close to her. She will just get up and say, "Mom, I'm going to see mom, big mommy," and they will just get up and he will just go there, And but even then, I'm my children's safe place. I am their comfort place where they can come and talk to us. And I want to challenge us as parents, as our children are going back to the next academic year. Make this your goal. The world is changing every day. And one of the things I used to fear, I fear the most, one of the things that actually drove me to start Joshua's Army and all of this conversation and all of these things I do, is how the devil is, turning our children into baits, into prey, where he's preying on our children, is, snatching our children. And, our children are, when they don't feel safe with us, we all need safe places, right? And when they don't feel safe with us, they will go and look for a safe place outside. And when they go, irrespective of the kind of place they find themselves, as long as it seems safe to them, they want to be there, and then it becomes the wrong thing. And one of the things I say to people is, when a boy in London, one of the things, or in England, one of the things we battle with is knife crime. But see it this way: when a boy stabs a child, it is not one child that has died. It is every child that was that child's friend that will go through that process, except for God. The boy that did the stabbing will probably be put in jail for life, or something would have happened. So we've lost that boy, the friends, the boy that committed the crime. If they have siblings, their siblings. And that's why sometimes you don't see them wanting to take revenge. So when it now becomes like one child is actually gone 6 feet below, but multiple children are actually dead. And so, but we can change this narrative one home at a time, one boy at a time. I remember the day, I don't know if you remember, God bless him. This is your friend in St. Bon's, Baptist man.
Oh, yeah.
The day you told me he was stabbed at Stratford, we were driving. I had to park because, I felt for real this kind of cramp, like I was in labor. And they were friends when we were living in London. So imagine the trauma, the heartache, the grief that will go on in the heart of his friends. He had left, so many years ago. I think you had even lost contact with him, but Josh was still his friend, and Josh is your best friend, So it was still connected in one way or the other. So basically, what I'm saying is, our home, our lives must be our children's safe places. Now, back to preparing. I think we've talked on what to watch out for, what to talk about, and what to prepare. Because how to prepare, and that's what you're talking about: patience, comfortability. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
I honestly feel like those are the most paramount things to learn, especially patience. I feel like patience opens up the door to then be comfortable. And then so it kind of works hand in hand in the sense that patience gives access to comfortability, and that comfortability gives access to vulnerability. So all of that kind of
work hand in hand. Thank you so much for Kwefoluwa. And so thank you everybody for joining. I hope you've picked one or two things from this conversation. I think it's a very casual one. We're touching a lot of things here and there, but I want to believe that this would help one person, one parent, and one boy out there. Particularly the fact that you're hearing it from a younger man. It's not just me. It's not just me coming, to talk about what I think or book knowledge, but here we are sharing our practical experiences. We've, like I always say, I'm sure 100% I did not get it right 100% of the time, but we are learning. We're all work in progress, and we learn on the job. What are the things you're going to be thinking about as you prepare your children from school? Pray about it. Baby, before I go, my final word will be, as you prepare, pray about what to talk about and when to talk about these things. Now, I know that a lot of us are engaging in, shopping and all of those things. And, for those that are going to uni, I remember last year, 2 years ago now. Wow.
Well, the uni shopping.
The uni shopping, when we got to IKEA, it was a lot. And, we would, there was a one particular trip to IKEA that we saw a lot of other parents, that we parents, when I began to bond and just gossip the children. That guy and the daughter particularly, and we're just gisting about, the children going back to school. Be open-minded. I learned a lot from that man that day, even though I can't even remember his face if I see him on the road right now. But one of the things I learned from him was allowing the children to breathe. I don't know how you put it, Daddy, but I can't even remember what he said. I just said, gosh, my child has to breathe. So when things are happening, I just say, you know what, breathe. Just take your time and breathe. This too shall pass. And trust me, Fokpe is going to pass 3 now. But is this any easier?
No. Time is definitely flown.
Exactly. So maybe, time has flown, but there's some things that you have learned that maybe are not happening to you right now. But of course, there's some things that are coming, some fresh things that you have to be thinking about as you go back to the new academic year. So please pray about the things. Ask God for insight. What are the things I need to talk to this boy about? One of the prayers I always pray is, God, open my eyes to the blind spots around me, particularly that concerns my children. What are the things I should pay attention to that I can't see? Show me my blind spots. Turn my head to those blind spots. And then over time, and I've added to that prayer, and as you turn my head to those blind spots, Lord, as you reveal those things to me, give me the wisdom to handle them. Because trust me, when you pray that prayer, some blind things will open and be like, hey, how, from where to where? But praying that God should give us the wisdom to handle those things are very, very important. Final word from you, Kwefoluwa.
Final word. You, honestly, as parents, you guys are doing great. You guys are doing absolutely great. I commend you all for the work you put in every day. And from the point of all children out there, I'd like to thank you. And I really appreciate all you do. And just please be patient with us. And we will come to you. And we want you to come to us as well. And thank you guys for tuning in and listening. And I hope you were able to take something away from everything I said. A lot. We've been able to take a lot away from Kwefoluwa. Thank you so much. I have taken a lot away, and I'm so grateful for your time. I know that I have to pull you out of something to come and do this with me. But thank you, my birthday. My gentle giant. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for staying with us. We'll see you again next time. Bye.